what is the status then of Volume 3, and who's on that, if you can reveal, and what's going on?
Well, Volume 3 and 4 and 5 are basically all simultaneously in the works. And I'm isolating which songs are going to go on to 3 right now, and just getting the last little bit wrapped up on that. I mean, all the materials there. Most of the artwork is there and done. Yeah, I'm hoping to have it out sometime before the end of the year.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about it stylistically, or what else can you reveal about it, John?
I feel like this one's going to be our strongest yet. There was a couple sessions that we did up at Studio 606 that were just magical days, that we just really yielded some incredible material. So let's see, there's a lot of new faces on them. Lee Oscar from War, Cynthia and Jerry from Sly and the Family Stone. We're playing around now in the jazz world a little bit with some of the monsters in that world. Christian Sands, who's just an unbelievable pianist and keyboard player, is on it. Hadrian Farrow, bass player. Let's see, members of Jane's Addiction, Earth, Wind and Fire, the Meters again, P-Funk, Kool and the Gang. Yeah, it's a ton of people again.
Well, Larry Dunn was on 2, right?
Larry was on 2, yep, and he's on 3. Yep. Larry's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Genius. Oh my God. There's this track that I may put it on Volume 3. I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen with it, but it's at a session that was Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction on the drums. He's sitting behind the kit in the live room, and Larry Dunn arrives. And Larry sees the grand piano on the other side of the live room, walks up to it, sits down, and starts playing. And then Stephen starts playing. And the two of them go on this like musical odyssey for a few minutes that was just incredible. It was like, you know, it was truly seeing two musicians speak only with their instruments, because they had never met before, they had never spoken to each other before, but they went on this incredible little
great
thing, and we just happened to be rolling tape when it happened, and so we caught it. And there's like, yeah, it's about 3 minutes of really cool stuff happening. So
wow. Well, you mentioned Lee Oscar, who also has been on Truth and Rhythm, but you know, some of in what we were talking about, I was thinking of War, because they sort of famously, you know, when they were in their peak, they would just record forever, and then Jerry Goldstein or whoever would come in there and pick a snippet that this sounds like a good song,
yeah, and
just kind of pull the diamonds out of that rough, you know. And it sounds like, you know, you do a bit of that.
Absolutely. And with Lee's track in particular, we did that. He gave us like, I don't know, 10 or 12 minutes of just vamping, a couple takes through on one of the songs, and we went in and we found some stuff and built it out of that, and it was so cool. Lee's awesome. Like, it was so wild to see him set up his pedals, and then all of a sudden that harmonica sound that you just know is blasting through your earphones, and it's just like, whoa, that's Lee Oscar, holy shit.
Well, so you did all of these at one time, or you've just kind of been holding some and got others?
Yeah, it's been a whole, I basically, well, I don't know if it was panic, but like, I was just like, I better hurry up and record a bunch of stuff right now while I've got the resources to be able to to make that happen. So I went in and did about 2 years of just record with different variations of players, and instead of finishing up the stuff, I just wanted to build the foundations and then come back and, you know, slowly build up what needed to be built up. So there's a surplus. there's a shitload of music. A lot. And again, it's like, these are some of the tracks that I'm the most proud of that haven't even come out yet. And I'm hoping I'm not saying that, like I hear a lot of people say it's just because they're sick of hearing all their old shit and they think the newest stuff's the best work ever. But like I really hope that it is a shared opinion, because I think the dynamics amongst the players this go round was ripping. Like, there's some really, really cool stuff.
You've certainly had a lot of exposure and a lot of involvement now in funk, and you know, this program focuses mostly on funk, but also on jazz and R&B and a little hip hop. What is it about funk that's special to you, and why do you think it continues to endure?
Well, funk for me, because of where it entered into my life and the time that it entered my life, is a lot bigger than music. Or it's the music's one side of it, but like my association to funk is about these amazing people, these super unique people that I was brought around, and funk was the common denominator. It's hard to explain. I mean, that there's what it means to me musically, and it's fun. It's fun to play. It feels good. It makes people move. It's very free. It's weird. It lets you explore. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff from that point, the playing it and listening to it. But from a cultural standpoint, it's a lot more. It's to me, there's a lifestyle that kind of comes with it, and a community that comes with it of some very important people, and people that have spent a lot of time being kind of pushed under the carpet, but still keep pushing and still stay authentic, even though for some reason the industry or the hot genre at the time might make it seem like, you know, swimming up, I don't know, yeah. I don't know. It's a big question. I mean, it should be an easy answer, but like, I think about Belita, and I think about Gary, and I think about Boogie, and I think about Clifford Adams, and I think about all these amazing people that are part of this community called funk. Mm-hmm. And those personalities that go with it. You know, their musicianship's one side, but their personality and their vibe is a whole nother side. Same thing with the fan base.
It's not an easy question. It's a very broad question, really. So,
I mean, it changed my life. It changed my life. It's going to sound cliche. It saved my life. It gave me an outlet that was bigger than whatever was standing in the way to really dive into, and not only from an educational standpoint, but also just from a learning about myself and the people around me standpoint.
I think we have another song concept there, John. Funk saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are I don't know how you feel about naming names, but I'll ask. Have there been any players that you like thought you had or hoped to get that just fell through and didn't work out?
All the time.
Like names that we would know, you know?
Names, yes. People that I never dreamed in a million years would even know my name, that are like, yeah, no call, no show. or whatever. I mean, it gets, you get to learn a lot about people during this process. There's some people there's people like right now that as we sit here and speak, I would love to be like, and guess what? I got the coolest shit ever to tell you, but I can't because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to get the call tomorrow and be like, bro, I'm out. So yeah, like it's all the time. It's a lot of yeses and nos and being okay with that.
How high do you shoot though? I mean, would you like say even like try to pursue like a Stevie Wonder or something like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got everybody's number. Like it's just a matter of me working up the nerve to call them. Like right now, I am working up the nerve to hit Shaka Khan up. Like you know, I've got her number. It's just I'm working up the nerve to hit her up because well, she's Shaka Khan.
She did work with some new producers on her last record, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of people out there that they're on my list. I'd love to work with. There's a lot of people that are on my. Here's one that was awesome. Okay, so Shock G from Digital Underground. I gave Shock a track 5 years ago, and we were gonna do it, and then we got talking, and he's like, John, I think I've said everything I need to say about funk for right now. I think I'm gonna go off into this like kind of jazz place. Hit me up in like 3 years. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'll hit you up in 3 years. It's an open invitation. Like it's not like, hey, if I'm asking you to do this today and you can't, like that. Never again. I mean, it's like, okay, well, that track didn't work today. I'll get somebody else, and tomorrow I'm gonna send you, another track to check out and see if it works.
Do you keep like a voluminous tickle file of where you're at with a lot of people, or you just keep it up in your head? Or
it's all up in my head. Like I have other times that though I'll forget. Like I had this time that I must have spent. And there's times I've got access to different people that I would love to hit up, but I don't necessarily like the. I'd rather go a different way about getting the contact. Like I might not want to ask a favor. So I was looking for Sleepy Brown from Outkast's number for like 2.5 years once, and I was scrolling through my phone to call my aunt, who is also in the S's in my phone, and sure as shit, there was Sleepy Brown's number. I had it the whole time. So it's like, yeah.
Wow. You must really guard safely your contacts list, man.
Yeah, it's it's pretty guarded.
So is there anyone out today that you're impressed with? That's what they're doing musically?
Yes. There are, let me think. Of course, the minute I go to think about who these people may be, Caliuchis. There's girl, yeah, there's some players out there. I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Do you,
I don't listen to a lot of music when I'm in the album modes, just because it's like noise or silence becomes like the soundtrack. So like, you know, there's definitely stuff out there that's super hip that I've heard recently that I dig.
do you go to festivals, try and recruit, or just?
No, these days, like I'm an old man hermit. Like, I'm not on the road. I'm home just chilling. No, I'll go to some festivals here and there, but the thing with festivals and shows and all that, and you know, for anybody that experiences kind of like, you know, maybe feeling like they got brushed off backstage or whatever, it's like the reality is shows and festivals are the worst places to try to do business. Like, it's just never the right time to try to recruit, or, you know, it's an okay time to get a phone number, but at the end of the day, these days, it's easier just to get a phone number through a mutual friend. I like to go to well, I guess let me back up and approach your question a little differently. I will go to festivals and I will watch acts that, you know, somebody might really stand out, and then I'll want to try to track them down at some point. You know, so I am looking for potential talent to bring into the fold, but I'm not necessarily there on the job trying to make it happen there.
Scouting, yeah. Have you had many players approach you on their own?
I have, and that's been very surprising too. When there's people that I've grown up watching on TV that are hitting me up saying, "Why didn't you ask me to be part of it?" I'm sitting there because I didn't know you yet. Like, now that I know you, I'm going to give you a call. You know, that part's mind blowing, because it makes me feel really grateful that there's something that we've collectively put together that appeals to a lot of different people from my world, past, present, and so on, that feel like it's something that they'd like to be part of, or they've got something to say on. So I mean, it's a lot of people like projects about everybody. It's not about, you know, I run the day in and day out operations, but it's never been about a spotlight on one person. It's always been about the sum of all parts. And, you know, granted, somebody has to facilitate just the operations, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, it is everybody.
Do you compose at all yourself?
Some. It's not my strong suit. I mean, I can. Not in any kind of like written theory form, but I could write a song pretty quickly. I mean, I don't know how great it would be, but you know.
Well, what else do you sort of keep yourself busy with besides this project?
Art. Yeah, art is pretty much the main other aspect of things. Years ago, I wound up with basically half of George Clinton's entire body of original artwork, and I'll show you a couple. I don't know if you can see that red guy up there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's a George piece, and kind of a self-portrait over there in the corner. Ton of George stuff all over, but yeah, and like collectibles and memorabilia and stuff like that. I was kind of a collector before I even came into the industry. Like, I loved collecting music gear and famous owned stuff, and so putting me like with access to all of it was the best damn worst thing that ever happened to me.
So you got like a storage facility full of stuff, or how do you?
Oh man, yeah. There's all kinds of craziness here. This bass right here. Um, so when I was like 14, I was reading Bass Player magazine, and I saw a picture of an Ovation 5-string bass in this ad with Norwood from Fishbone in it. And I was like, oh, I got to get me one of those basses. So I searched for years, and I missed one or two on eBay, I think. And then lo and behold, a few years later, I'm friends with Norwood, and we're chatting. I'm like, so, hey, man, that Ovation bass that you used to have, you still got it? He's like, yeah, man, I don't play it anymore. You want it? It's like, yeah, man, I'll buy that. And so, I wound up with the bass from the ad, the one that was the exact one that I thought that I needed to have when I was 14. So it's, little things like that, come full circle and make it even more fun for me, because there's elements that I can escape from that aren't the work part of the job, that I can mess around in the other side of things,
That's very cool. One day there'll be a John Heintz museum or something.
Man, something needs to happen, because I'm running out of space. Like,
it's funny, earlier in our talk when you mentioned, I think you said at one point you traded your bass for like a moped or something when you were, and I remember at one point I traded, I think it was a slot car set I had for a guitar. Those were the days.
Yeah, totally.
So what's you got a bucket list here, or there must be like a what's that term they have for something that's extremely rare that you're trying to make happen, or
oh, my bucket list. Well, within the dynamics of the project, or just in life, or
no, in terms of the project or otherwise musically.
Well, one of the bucket list things I'm waiting for an answer on right now as we speak. So I would say I would like to just make it be a self-sustaining entity that can keep going. Like, a bucket list would be for me not to have to come out of pocket for the project for just 1 year. For it to be for it to stand on its own, because it's taken a long time to build the machine.
Mm-hmm.
It took a long time, and it was built to be able to be faceless in a lot of ways, and be able to lend as a space to be a place for musicians that weren't on the road to continue to earn while still performing. A place that everybody could pool resources and kind of serve as a hub. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A lot of what I set out to do at the project happened, and now we're in kind of the zone of like, wow, this is really, kind of taking on a life of its own. So every moment is just like full of so much gratitude. So like, in a lot of ways, the couple things I would still like are selfish. I mean, I'd love for the project to be recognized by, the Grammy board, or, get an article in Rolling Stone, but that's all secondary. I mean, that's not why I ever got into it in the first place. It would be cool just because, like, somewhere down in my brain, like, that's what, I don't know, people equate success in the industry to be. But like, I never expected it to be what it is. I never expected it to have the number of people that are involved with it, nor the caliber of people that are involved with it. So it's just, you know, for me to put too much of a list on there, I'm already living in an unlikely dream. So it's just kind of like, you know.
Yeah. How did you come up with the name? Did the name just come up by you, or was it a collaborative effort? Or?
It was a collaborative effort. It was Derek, JP, and I kind of all sitting around. I don't remember. We were all just like throwing out little bits and pieces, and then it all came together. And to be honest, the whole BONG acronym, that was totally on accident. Like, it wasn't we had set out like, okay, well, we're going to name the band BONG, so let's figure out what words would like hide the fact that we're calling it BONG. It was nothing like that. It was just like JP called me after like an 8-hour business meeting. I had just gotten back from his house. I'm thinking, what are you calling me about? Can't we wait till tomorrow? He's like, dude. I'm like, what? He goes, have you written out the acronym yet? I'm like, no. He goes, write it out. I'm like, no. He goes, no, seriously, you got to write this out now. And I'm just sitting there like, B-O, shit. MG, yeah, this is like perfect. Like, it couldn't have been any more fitting. So yeah, it was a combination of all of us with that one.
That's crazy. That's like meant to be on that or something.
Yeah, kind of. It was like at that moment, it's like, okay, we're on the right path.
What can we expect to see in the near future in terms of the taking it to the stage aspect?
Well, let's see. I don't know. I'm on the fence right now about that. Like, if my publicist were here, she'd be like, shut the fuck up right now. But like, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I don't know. I don't know about it, because with my health the way it is, with the recent diagnosis with the diabetes and all that, my ability to be on the road is not what it was. So I have to look at, can we put it on the road without me on the road in the very beginning, for it to get the stabilization just as a moving entity, not as a performance for the set, but just as like, as the business functioning on the road, whether it can be done, you know, with me home, or whether, you know, I need to be out there for the very early stages of it. So the wear and tear with that, and the logistical whatever's with it, has made me kind of take a step back and say, you know, it's always worked well as an album project. You know, maybe it needs to just kind of stay home for a little longer while I kind of figure out what's going on with my health and figure out if I want it. I would love to. It was always a goal. It was always something I really wanted to do. But for me also, it's such an enormous risk. Like, because like, I'm paying payroll no matter how many people are showing up at the show. So if something like, you know, like we spoke of with the Greenville show happening where nobody shows, and I'm still, you know, covering a full cost for that night, you know, pretty quickly I can get wiped out of the game. It's not like I'm sitting on, it's not like I'm independently wealthy and sitting on a pile of cash. Like, if something happens and all of a sudden, you know, we take a $20,000 hit on the road, which can easily happen, you know, then I'm sitting there like figuring out, well, where's that food gonna come from that I just
Well,
so it's a scary balance to do, and it becomes an interesting thing, like we had started talking about, where the club wants me to submit a lineup in advance, and I don't know who's going to be in that lineup until maybe, you know, a month or so before the show, but they want to be able to promote 6 months out. So, you know, it's a tough one. I mean, it's going to happen, but like, I don't know if it's going to be this year. I had hoped to put it out more this year, but like, I feel like I don't know if I can do both the album and the touring at the same time.
sure, it makes sense. I mean, I can totally understand. You got to figure out where you're at as an individual with what's going on, and then also the project itself. And so, but you know, we hold out hope that eventually, at least, it can have some life out there on the stage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we took it out this last run, the bands felt great. It sounded what I thought was really good. Everybody enjoyed it that was participating in the band for it. I mean, all the ingredients were there, other than, you know, having a significant budget to fall back on in the event of emergency. You know?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Finances play a big role in whatever you're going to do. You know, that's just the bottom line. No matter how pure the intent or how creative the musical endeavor is. So,
Yeah.
but you've broke out of the constraints that so many are, you know, bound by to begin with. So, I mean, it's just great. Like you said, so many artists just want to do it because they want to get a break sort of from that whole treadmill, you know, of what the industry is. So that's really what's a big part of what's so great about the project, I think. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
yeah. I think, you know, while you're talking, I had one other question that I got to try to, oh yeah. So look, we've only heard 2 volumes. So out of those 2 volumes, which track is your favorite or you most proud of? Is there one?
There's a couple for different reasons. I would say the one that I'm most proud of is It's So Hard to Go, because I wrote the majority of that one kind of in the moment, and it was based off of it was based after a bass line that I was trying to figure out. I believe it was 311's Come Original that I was trying to figure out Peanuts bass line. I just couldn't figure it out, and this other weird bass line came of it. And this is going back like to like when I was 16, 17, right? And so here we are in the New Orleans session, and that bass line popped in my head. I started playing it. And then all of a sudden, like, everybody else started chiming in. And all of a sudden it became a song. And for me, an enjoyable song. And then at the end of it, you know, when Derek came up with the lyrics with It's So Hard to Go, and we were all standing there in the room, and the vocalists were basically singing it back to the band after we had riffed on the parts. That was pretty special. And then when we were tracking the group vocal for that, we were all standing around like one microphone with, I think, one set of earphones. George was in the main room. He comes out, he's like, man, it's like We Are the World up in this shit. and then walks up and starts getting into it with us. And it was just like, holy shit. It was special because it was all of us.
Mm.
We were all together. Even people that were not musicians on the album are singing on that. Like everybody who was in that room, whether it was significant other, friend, photographer for the session, then whoever was there singing and part of it. And that to me, because the project is it's a we thing. It's very much a we thing. And when the greater we can be together and doing it all together, and that's, to me, the most special times.
But the horns really drive that one too.
Yeah, that one. That one just went really well to a big build. And now it's gotten weird. When we do that live, like Derek's been turning into like some kind of like funk revival and like baptizing people in the name of funk and turning it into like this crazy, almost like church moment where people are singing and dancing and acting crazy. It's it's quite a sight.
So is that when and there's one other one? Or is that it?
That one for me is the one that probably is the most special.
And it sounds like really fully encapsulates the whole thing that you were sort of after.
Yeah. There's stories attached to other songs that are very meaningful, but I think that's the one. I like Creatures of Habit too. But again, that's another one where it's just like, the big group vocal where it's just like, you got a lot of people up on this track.
Yeah, well, that one, they're on there, but it certainly has Fishbone influence on that one.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's one. If I heard it, I'd be like, Fishbone's got to have something to do with that. Yeah. Which is not a bad thing at all.
No.
It was fun to see them. I hadn't seen them in so many years, and I saw the One Nation show in North Carolina over the summer with P-Funk and Angelo, and the current version of Fishbone. Norwood though was there, which was cool, and Galactic. Great show, and fantastic show. Well, I think we've about covered everything, John.
Yes. No, this was a blast. I'm glad we were able to connect, and I thank you so much for this.
Hey, thank you so much for your patience. Viewers and listeners don't know, but we did have a couple of challenges. I think, christening the new year, technically.
Totally.
Yeah, but we got together. We made it happen. Nothing can stop the funk.
Man, yeah, this was such a pleasure.
I wish you great luck, continuing success, and keep us in the loop when the volume 3's coming and whatever else is happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe get you a sneak peek of it.
I don't mind.
Right on.
Hey, back at Truth and Rhythm headquarters. Thank you for joining us on another magical ride with Truth and Rhythm. Whether you're watching or listening, as always, thank you so much for your continued interest and support. Be sure to subscribe. Go to YouTube. Go to the Funk and Stuff channel. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives and breathes and thrives. Also, goodies here like TIR quick takes. And if you subscribe, you know what? You get the show before anyone else. It's free. If you love jazz, funk, R&B, soul, you can't miss it. Pass it along. Tell a friend. Tell family. This audience is growing, and it is a beautiful thing, all coming together for the love of this great music. Also, if you can throw us a buck or two, we could use the support financially, keeping the lights on, keeping the servers going, all these expenses. If you can help support the program, whatever you can give, much appreciated. Go to the funkandstuff.net website, and on the right-hand side of every page, you just click and you can donate through PayPal, credit card, whatever. Very easy to do and so much appreciated. And if you do a sizable donation, I will mention you on the program. Also, drop me a line. Email me at scottg@funkandstuff.net. Let me know who else you'd like to see on the show. what you enjoy about the music. Let's just kibitz and talk about stuff, talk music. You'll find that I respond very quickly, and I much enjoy the rapport and the camaraderie and the interaction. Always remember, this is your show, The True Music Lover. So for now, that's all the time we have for this one. It's a wrap. As always, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.